Hello everyone, I'm Anjali Anand Seth, the Associate Vice President of Wesleyan College, USA. Yes, we are in Georgia, Macon, beautiful city of Macon, and we are very close to Atlanta. So if any one of you are traveling there, do drop in. But before that, where am I today? I am here at the HSM studio, very fancy studio here, and we have a very special guest today. Welcome, President Blight. I am honored to introduce to all of you today President Meaghan Blight, the 26th President of Wesleyan College. It's an honor to host you today, and of course, we are all set to know more about you. I have always been in awe of your leadership. I mean, that is something that I've always talked about. What brings you to Wesleyan?
Well, a long career in higher education. I was working in institutions for the last almost 15 years in areas of leadership, and when the position of president for the oldest degree granting institution in the world was available, I thought, I've got to be part of this. It's something so special and such a special place with high quality programs and faculty, 200-acre campus. I went to Macon and I absolutely fell in love. And I thought, if they'll have me, I will move down from Canada, and it would be my honor to run the place. So it was my great fortune that they selected me as the 26th president.
Did you feel a little anxious moving from Canada to the US?
You know, I was really excited about the weather change. Very much actually like India. Macon is quite warm. I was a little nervous about the bugs. They grow them big down there because there's no winter to kill them off. But no, Macon is a very diverse, safe place where our family's been welcomed as Canadians, and there's many different international families that live in the area.
So 1836, first institution in the world chartered to grant degrees to women. That's a legacy. Mm-hmm. And you are now part of it. What is your vision and mission for all the girls who join Wesleyan or per se for Wesleyan College? What is your mission?
Well, our mission is to accelerate equality for women, and it's what we've been doing since 1836. As the first institution in the world to charter degrees to women, we were accelerating their equality by giving them an education, and we continue to do that 187 years later. So we're looking to realize equality, hopefully in our lifetime. The Gender Equity Index in the World Economic Forum talks about 136 years until women realize gender parity, and that's just simply too long. And we believe that women's colleges are uniquely positioned to accelerate that pace by ensuring that women have the tools and the skills that they need to step into leadership positions.
So somewhere I think the vision and mission aligns with what SDG goals also talk about. They talk about quality education, they also talk about gender parity. And I think Wesleyan is positioned to add to that goal and help succeed there. But what are your biggest challenges when, as a president, when you're sitting on that chair, what is the biggest challenge that you see in achieving that gender parity?
Well, I think because we are a very historic institution, we have legacy families who've come there, and so in the past, we haven't really advertised. We've been this best kept secret. So one of our biggest challenges is that for young women to know that we're out there. We're an option for them for their higher education journey, both at the undergraduate and graduate level. And so a big part of what we're trying to do is tell the story of Wesleyan, tell the story of how small women's colleges that are residential, that are going to nurture your individual gifts with a 13 student to 1 faculty ratio is going to help you enter your leadership journey, and for 4 years support you and nurture you to ensure that you reach every single goal. So we're trying to tell the world, which is one of the reasons I'm here in India and with you.
Excellent. So I need to tell you a bit of my own background. I went to an all-girls school and I went to an all-girls college. A lot of people feel that when you're going to a single gender institution, you lack confidence to engage with the opposite sex. On the contrary, I think when I entered the school and I entered the college, I felt free. How do you engage with girls and try to convince them that why single gender institution are valuable for their success in future?
Yeah, it's representation. Representation matters, right? So at the head of the classroom, you're going to have a female leader, the head of students' council, the head of the sports teams, the head of the debate team, the Model UN. It's all women who will become your personal mentors and your guides. And so that representation really matters. A lot of times when a male and a female are engaged in a conversation together, that man is driving that conversation. And so we take them right out of the classroom, and the conversation all of a sudden changes and confidence grows and builds. So sometimes people will say to us, well, they're not going to graduate out into a female-only world and they won't be equipped. Actually, no, they'll have more confidence to take on various industries with all sorts of different personalities, because for 4 years they've practiced articulating themselves and creating buy-in and authoring their own ideas in spaces and places that are uniquely positioned to nurture their voice and encourage their voice.
You're right about that. When I go in for presentations, I'm not looking at who my audience is. I just have the confidence that I can present that side. But this is all the serious stuff. Let's talk about the fun stuff. Tell me something about yourself, which people do not know as the president.
I used to be a snowboard instructor, so I used to teach snowboarding. I love fishing. I have 2 dogs. I have 2 sons. I used to play really competitive softball as well as rugby. And I'm terrified of clowns.
Really?
Yes.
Why clowns?
What are you hiding behind there? Why so much makeup? What's going on? I just don't trust them.
Okay. And what is interesting that I got from your background is that you are the only female in an all-male house.
Yes.
How do you manage that?
Well, at times it's a bit of a challenge. They keep me on my toes. I have 2 young sons. The cat's a boy. I have 1 dog who's a boy. So the way that I managed this was about 1.5 years ago, I went out and got a golden retriever puppy, who's a girl, and her name's Ruby, to start to even the score a little bit.
Okay, that sounds good. But how does it feel to be a president? And when you come back home, I mean, you're the mother, you're the wife.
Oh, it's very humbling because they don't care that I'm president, right? My kids are just help me with my homework, or let's go play catch outside. Classic mom stuff. They don't ever acknowledge that I'm president. I'm just mom to them, and it's very humbling when I'm picking up their clothes and cleaning their bathroom. The president thing doesn't go very far when I'm at home.
This is where I'm reminded of a book I read, Indira Nooyi's biography, where she said it becomes even more difficult for women because they have to do a lot of multitasking and balancing act. How does it work for you, and how do you engage with all the girls who are looking up to you for inspiration?
Yeah, I think that there's a real misconception that we do it all, and that I'm able to do it all, and I think that that's unhealthy and not fair, and I think sets an unrealistic standard for a lot of women, thinking that I can rise to the role of president at 37 and have 2 young children and travel across the globe, and I can effortlessly do all this. But that's not the case at all. I mean, my husband stays at home. He takes care of everything in our domestic life so that I can be here with you. And so I always say to young women, choose wisely who you marry and who your partner is going to be, and express your desire for leadership early on as you're starting to navigate some of these romantic relationships, because it is one of the single most important things that you can do to ensure your happiness, ensuring that whoever you end up spending your life with is somebody that is going to help you realize all of your goals. And that might be leadership, but it also might be motherhood or not motherhood, whatever that looks like for you, but you need to ensure that you are communicating that early and often. And so for me, it's about ensuring that a good chunk of the domestic role is done by my husband. And that's, I think, a non-traditional in a lot of ways, but it's something that's worked really well for us.
So thank you for sharing your personal story, but you've now got me into it. So I'm going to dig deeper here. Your husband works from home.
My husband is a stay-at-home dad, yes.
Do they make them anymore?
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay. I come from that part of the world where it's unheard of. I mean, it is pretty radical to ask that. But tell me something, who decides? Who's the decision maker in the house? Or is it that something that you do together? Because this is again a life skill that I think women need to understand and learn.
Yeah, for us, whoever cares the most about the decision is as how we weigh it out, right? If I'm ready to die on that hill, then I'll make the decision, and if it's really meaningful to him, then he's the one. But I mean, I think we're a team and we make decisions together for the most part. I think that it's a pretty quick way to end your marriage if you're unilaterally making decisions for your family without consulting one another and not working as a partnership, and demonstrating respect and commitment while navigating tough situations that come about. But I mean, my husband stays at home with our children, manages most of the domestic tasks, and I travel around the globe and get to be the president of a women's college, which is my dream job. And so most of the time, if there's something that he feels strongly about, because he has supported every single one of my dreams, I'm going to say yes.
Nice. I'm inspired. Maybe I should ask my husband to meet your husband once. I know we should do that. But what is your biggest fear, whether as a professional or at a personal level?
Yes. Well, I did say clowns. I am terrified of clowns. Backing in a large vehicle into a space is also a great fear of mine. I don't know if you've ever shown up to pick up a piece of furniture and they try to back you in. I just get out of the car. That is a terror. Or backing in a trailer. That would also be a fear of mine.
Okay. Tell me one incident, one story that has shocked you.
Actually, I was at a scholarship lunch with one of our students, and she was sitting there, and we had set this beautiful table at Wesleyan. We were giving out these big scholarships, and she was taking out the silverware from the napkin. And she said, "Oh gosh, this is the first time that I've got to unroll the silverware. It's not been me as a hostess or a waitress rolling the silverware." And so it was this moment of complete responsibility that we had for these young women and developing them. And it shocked me because I think sometimes we assume that people have these types of experiences and they know how to come to a lunch like that. And it was a reminder that as a women's college, what we teach both inside and outside of the classroom, of how to come to a fancy lunch or a dinner, how to navigate some of these place settings. And those are some of the things that we can be working on to ensure that she feels comfortable at every single table, whether it's a boardroom table or a luncheon table, and that she's got the skills to navigate all of that.
Nice. So you had two big events happening on campus that I saw on Instagram. One was, of course, you had all the alumnus coming back.
Yes, on the weekend.
And then you had a graduation ceremony.
Yes.
Tell me about the experience.
So as a Canadian, we don't have the same type of alumni affinity, I find, that is in U.S. schools. And so I've been through all sorts of alum weekends at previous institutions, but seeing over 300 Wesleyan alums in their different colors, they have class colors, red and gold and green and purple, and they fully dress up and embrace that. And they raised close to $100,000 for Wesleyan in one weekend in their generosity of giving. We had a grad that was over 100 years old, all the way to somebody who graduated last year. And they're all networking and interacting and sharing their communities and their connections. And that's the power of Wesleyan College and the sisterhood that goes along with women's colleges. You have this network and this force to lift you up and support you no matter where you are in the world.
Together we fly.
Together we fly.
That's so interesting. What about the graduation ceremony? First one?
That was my first that was my first official one as president that I was able to give out the degrees at. And one of the things that's so interesting is that we have a diverse student base. And so we have students who graduate that are traditional students who came from high school and spent 4 years. And then we have these other students who have come and walked across the stage, and this might be their second degree at the master's level, or this may be them finishing up a degree or starting something that after they've worked and have children that they're trying to complete. So as these women were walking across the stage and their grown children were yelling, "That's my mom," it always made me tear up a little bit for the pride that these families had and understanding the journey to put yourself through 4 years of school while working full-time and raising a family really spoke to what it is that we do at Wesleyan.
A thought that crosses my mind here is that, do you think because women can multitask and of course they have to go through a lot more, and I'm not talking in terms of it being a feminine versus a masculine issue, but do you think women have more grit?
I think that the world has required more of us because we tend to be nurturers, right? We tend to nurture relationships, whether it's at home or in the office. A lot of times we're empathic, and so because we take on relationships and the lead in many of our personal relationships, I think we're required to, grit I think is a good word, to persevere, to have the stamina for long-term success, whether it's in the professional realm or in the personal realm. And then I think as mothers, I think we have this innate sense of maternal caregiving that goes along with our roles as well. So if you're able to work and be a mother and maintain relationships, it's going to inculcate something in you to navigate probably your time pretty significantly and efficiently, but also ensure that you are focused on the relationships that matter and that feed you.
I think there's a valid point there, but I'm thinking, let me make it a little less serious. It's become too serious for our audience. Okay. So let me try making. I got a couple of questions right here. Okay. It's supposed to be rapid fire, so you cannot think more than 5 seconds on it.
Well, I'm pretty jet lagged, so that should be too tough.
We can get you another round of coffee if you like that. Yes. Okay. All right. What is that one thing which becomes your biggest learning in your life? Yeah, that's a serious one, but nevertheless, I'll let it go.
Biggest learning in my life? This too shall pass. If you just wait, the situation will pass. Give it time.
Okay. Favorite food?
Tikka masala.
Paneer or chicken?
Chicken.
Chicken tikka masala?
Chicken tikka masala.
You're saying this only because you're here in India?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. I get that. Have you ever failed a test?
Yes, and not the kind of test you're thinking of, but I failed my first driving test. I am not a strong driver.
You're not?
No, ma'am.
And which car do you drive?
So I have a small car because if I was in something big like my husband's truck, I would probably wipe out most of Macon, Georgia.
Okay. That sounds nice. So, besides the fact that you're a bad driver, yes, but what is the most daring thing that you've ever done?
I've bungee jumped. Heli skiing, heli snowboarding, Niagara Falls.
Nice. So you're an adventurous kind.
Yes.
And I hear that you have an equestrian club on campus.
Yeah, we have an equestrian club, and that can be adventurous if you're scared of horses, but for the most part they are very, very friendly, and we have riders who've never ridden a horse before, like Abhishek Gupta, the CEO of High School Moms, I think he found that quite adventurous. He was quite terrified, which I enjoyed, of course, immensely.
Yeah, did you take a video? We want to leak it on Instagram.
I do, and I can share that with you. I absolutely can share that with you.
Please do that.
Yes.
And the next time that you get him on campus, make sure that he stays the whole day in the equestrian club until he learns how to horse.
Yes, well, you've got to shovel out the stables.
Okay.
And that's something that I think he needs to experience.
If he gets too agitated about anything, we can always throw him in the private lake that you have on campus.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay. What is your one guilty pleasure?
Salt and vinegar potato chips.
Come again?
Salt and vinegar potato chips.
That's your guilty pleasure?
Were you hoping for something juicier there?
Yes, of course. Spoken like a president, I would say that. All right. One myth you would like to believe.
A myth I'd like to believe? In one of my previous institutions, I had to make some really tough calls around employees and hiring, and I got the nickname the Black Widow, and so they call me the Black Widow, and so that is a myth, of course, that I am that awful and that I'm going to, bite your head off. But at the same time, it's a cool nickname. So I think I'd like to believe it.
Okay, so on the Halloween night, are you dressed up like that?
Of course, every year. Terrorize the children.
I like the fact that you're finding it funny. I mean, people could take offense to being called that.
Oh, I've been called worse over the years.
Yeah, it's okay. That works well for you. Let me talk about a luxury holiday that you've taken.
Well, I haven't taken a lot of holidays, and much of my travel is around recruiting students, but I have been to one of the ones that I think was very, very lovely was I was in Barbados for about a week and a half with my aunt and my mother, and that was a special holiday because it was just family.
Nice. I hear that you are half Scottish and half Canadian, right? Yeah. So from which side of the family?
My mother's side is Scottish, my father's Irish, and then of course we grew up in Canada. So I've got a fiery temper. I occasionally like a cocktail, but then the Canadian side I'm very friendly when I've had that cocktail.
Yeah, I always tell this to people that Canada is might be a cold country, but it is made up of very warm people.
Very friendly people.
Very friendly, very warm people. So it's nice to have a Canadian come to US.
But we're in the South. There's nobody friendlier than people in the South. I mean, they call it Southern hospitality for a reason.
Uh-huh.
You come down to the South, it's very similar to here. Everybody wants to feed you.
Okay.
Everybody wants to know about you and get you connected and involved, and they want you to stay and be part of the community. So, I mean, if you're going to go to the States, where the warmth is, both from the people side and the temperature side, come to the South.
Nice. So now that you're in India, let me figure out as to how much you know about India. Okay. No, it's not going to be a GK question. Okay. One, favorite Bollywood movie?
Three Idiots is probably and it's a bit older of a movie, I appreciate, but I like the connection to the education side, right? That everybody has an opportunity and a right to study what they want to study.
Your place that you would want to go and visit?
Well, in India, my last trip was into Dehradun, and I remarked, oh, this is where you keep all the trees. We went up and up and up and up and up the mountain, and I loved the scenery and the views and all the greenery, so I'd love to go back to Dehradun. But I am very excited because this trip I'll be visiting Goa, which is my first time to see Goa. So, and I've looked at pictures of it online, I've heard lots about it, so I'm very much looking forward to getting there.
Yeah, even the venue for the conference is very beautiful, and it is just right across the beach.
So I'll be at the beach. Is the conference on the beach? Because that's where I'm going to spend my time.
That's okay. You can always deliver a lecture from there.
That's right.
Wherever you're going to be. So enjoy that bit. But are you a mountain person or are you a beach person?
If I can be around water, I'll always be around water.
Day or night?
Well, I'm a morning person, so I would say day.
Okay. Do you have very long working hours?
Yes.
Are you? You said you're a morning person, yes. But do you sleep early too?
Yeah, I would say I usually start the day around 4 a.m. and then I sleep around, 10.
What do you do at 4 a.m.?
Exercise and then start working.
How long is your working day?
Well, it takes breaks, right? I mean, when my kids get off work or get off school, I come off work, spend time with them, go to their sports events. Oh my gosh, my son would hate if I called his game a sports event. Sorry, his games. He would be mortified. Sorry, Jake. Go to his games, and my other son is into theater. Take him to practices. And of course spends family time together, and then when they go to sleep I answer some emails, do some phone calls, and of course I have the lovely benefit of also working across time zones with people like yourself as we recruit in South Asia, so somebody's always up.
Okay, I like my sleep.
Oh.
I am yet to decide whether I'm a morning person or not. Just depends on which side of the bed I get up.
I see.
But yeah, I tend to spend a lot of time sometimes late nights. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I do Netflix binging, which is the present OTT that you follow, or what is the episodes that you like? What do you watch?
This is going to sound so bad.
Really?
Yeah, I don't watch television.
You don't watch television?
Nope.
How do you entertain yourself?
Books.
You read a lot?
Yeah, I read a lot.
And what is the latest one that you're reading?
Shoe Dog right now, the Phil Knight story. So founder of Nike. When he was 24, he founded the company, started importing shoes from Japan and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar empire. So that's kind of interesting to me.
So you like reading a lot of non-fiction?
Yes.
Okay, and non-fiction is more biographies?
Yeah, biographies and stories of people who've been successful and learning from their success and taking some of their advice and weaving it into my own leadership, my own leadership teams.
All right, let me look through what I haven't asked you. So, what is the funniest place you have fallen asleep? Besides just right now, I saw you taking a nap on the chair.
That's actually what I was going to say is the HSM High School Mom office, because I flew in about 36 hours ago, and I'm on about 2 hours of sleep. It's late in the afternoon, and you said we're doing this this podcast, and so I took a little nap, laying between two chairs in the boardroom office. Not my proudest moment.
I hope nobody was watching. Okay. And what is the funniest thing that you ever heard a child say?
My son, when he was younger, he was having some behavioral stuff at school. He was acting up. And the teacher said to him, if you can make it through the whole week without getting in trouble, you get iPad time in class. He gets to use the iPad. So he cleaned up his act, got in no trouble for the entire week, and she gave him the iPad. And then I got a call saying, did you know what your son chose to do with that iPad? He turned on the camera, he recorded himself, flipped it, and said the F word, and then showed it to his classmates.
Oh,
He was 5 years old.
Seriously?
And I'm assuming he must have heard that word from his father.
Really?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Do you have rules in the house of the language that you use?
Of course, you can never say language like that. So I think that's why he was taking the liberty, because his father and I weren't around.
So who reprimands the kid? Or is there punishment? What exactly do you do? How do you discipline your kid?
We honestly conversation. Our kids are really mindful. They don't want to let you down. They're respectful kids. That was an isolated incident, but one that I did find funny afterwards. It was hard to reprimand him with that, just because it was so silly. You earned the time, and that's what you chose to do with it. But I think just big conversations. I think that's how people learn best, and talking through, what did you think went wrong here and how could you do it differently? The same way as I do with leadership teams.
What do you like the most? Your school days, your college days, or now as a president, or work days?
Work days. I love being the president of Wesleyan College. I love going in every day. I feel excited to be there. Every day is a Saturday for me. I don't feel like I've worked a day in my life since I started, because of the community, of the students, of the passion that the faculty bring. And when you wake up every single day knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be, that's energizing.
Yeah. I always feel that make your passion or your hobby your work. You will enjoy it for the rest of your life. But with great power comes great responsibility. So do you ever feel that you're going to let down people around you?
I think it would be dishonest to say that I didn't ever doubt myself, and that's not realistic. I mean, I have all sorts of doubts, but I try to make decisions with the best intentions in mind. And I think if you make decisions with best intentions, then the stakes for catastrophic failure are pretty low. And we've got this great management team, we've got this great faculty group, we've got great students, and so everybody comes and contributes to the institution and its success. And so you're surrounded by people who love the place, who are all making decisions. And I think when you always assume that people are doing their best and have best intentions, great things can happen. So as much as for sure I feel pressure, you're running a place and the buck stops with you, when you surround yourself with people who are smarter than you and you get out of their way, you've got a team that's going to catch you if you make a mistake as well, when you make a mistake.
Yeah, that's something Steve Jobs once said, that I hire people who are smarter than me so that they lessen my workload.
Absolutely, and I think it was Sheryl Sandberg who said, you hire people who you'd want to work for, and every single person on my team I'd work for. And so why would I hire somebody that is going to be running a team that I myself wouldn't be pleased to work for? So those are some of the things that I always, or when you're hiring somebody, who do you want in a room with you at 2:00 in the morning if something bad's happened and there's an event? and surrounding yourself with people that you want to be in that room with at 2 o'clock in the morning after something's happened. That's the secret, I think, to high-performing teams that get along, but also you trust each other and decision-making.
All right, once again, we are in conversation with President Meaghan Blight of Wesleyan College, and I intend to ask her some really personal questions about her school and college life. Let's see if she answers us truthfully. Welcome, President Blight.
I'm all of a sudden very nervous.
Okay. Question number 1. Were you a naughty student or a serious student?
Okay, so academically I was fairly serious, but outside of a classroom I would say that I made some questionable choices at times.
Questionable choices it is. All right. Will you be able to share one questionable choice that you had made in your school life? And you got reprimanded for it.
I once lit a match in class on a dare and I was suspended.
Match in class.
On a dare. On a dare.
I'm not too sure whether students are actually supposed to carry a matchbox in class.
I don't think you are.
Okay. Were you ever reprimanded in school, and what was the reason?
Okay, well I just told you I was suspended for lighting a match in class.
So that was...
And talking. I mean, I talk way too much, of course. Was sent to the office many times for talking or suggesting that the teacher teach it a different way, explain something in a more interesting way, become a bit more lively. The teachers don't really take kindly to you telling them how to do their jobs, I found out early on.
Okay. Everybody has one subject that they are scared about. They are scared of. Which is that subject for you?
I wouldn't say I'm scared of it, but I really, and I'm sorry to all of my colleagues and faculty members, but I really disliked geography. How many times can you color provinces on a map?
Okay. All right. We do have political maps, which even we used to color in India.
Yes.
So I thought it's a global problem. A lot of students will struggle with that. I even copied, just FYI, while cheating is not a good thing to do, but I even copied because thankfully in my class there was a chart paper which had all the longitudes and the latitudes made, and there was a question in my board exam which I happily utilized the chart paper and answered it. Okay, coming back to your school life. Everybody is scared of choosing the right subjects. That's the first big decision that any teenager makes, right?
Yeah.
What is your suggestion to all the teenagers out there when they have to choose their subjects, especially when they're moving from grade 10 to grade 11 in India?
Study what you love.
Study what you love. Okay.
You'll do a good job of it. Just study what you love, and if you love it, you're gonna be good at it.
Okay. We talked about the subject that you hate. Let's talk about the subject that you love. Now your faculty will be happy.
Yeah, political science. My undergrad was in political science. I couldn't get enough of it.
Okay. Help me understand one thing, that if somebody wants to make their career out of political science, right, and they want to go into international relations, studying political science is more important, or studying history or world history is more important?
Anything. Look, once again, study what you love. So I'm a political science major. I'm the president of a college. But I travel across the globe and I'm here in India, and so I need to understand that intercultural competencies, right, and religion and how to do business across borders. So my political science degree has helped with that, even though I didn't become, I didn't work technically in international relations or international law. But once again, study what you love, find a place that's going to support you and give you all sorts of opportunities outside of the classroom, and it will all come together.
We all want to bunk that one day of school and go out for a movie. We want to bunk college and go out with friends and hang out. Let's ask President Blight, did she ever actually bunk school or college? Did you?
Yes, I did. But for any of my students who are watching right now, don't do that. But yes, I did. On really awful weather days, occasionally I would take a pass.
Okay. Help me understand that each student has that one favorite place where they would want to sit down, mull over, think about things. When you go to work as President Meaghan Blight, is there a favorite spot for you on the campus? I know that you have a beautiful 200-acre campus, private lake, gorgeous forest. But do you have that favorite spot on the campus where when you had a hard day, you just want to take a stroll?
I love sitting in our cafeteria where all of our students are. 3 days a week, I will go into the cafeteria and sit and have lunch. I will sit by myself at a table and take in all of the conversations and the energy, hoping that some students might join me, and they tend to, whether they have questions or they have ideas for me. Sometimes coming to my office, the president's office, can be a bit intimidating. So I go to them and I sit in this very grand, almost ballroom-like dining hall. And it's amazing what you end up hearing about or understanding or being brought into when you meet people where they're at.
Wonderful. Now, all of you youngsters, you want to become an entrepreneur. I know President Meaghan Blight is a leader par excellence. So let's understand from her, what are those 2-3 qualities that you need to imbibe to become a leader like her or possibly become an entrepreneur? President Blight.
I listened a lot early in my days. I would see people that I respected. I would see people who commanded rooms and who were respected, and I would just soak up as much of them as I possibly could. Many of which were female leaders who encouraged me, gave me hard feedback when it would have been tough to do, to deliver that feedback that made me better, that wanted for these people who grew me. So I spent a lot of time listening and surrounding myself with people who knew a heck of a lot more than I did, and in areas that I maybe had weaknesses or opportunities for growth, and just asked a lot of questions.
All right. Now, during the COVID and the pandemic, all of us were on Zoom, practically logged inside that Zoom screen. And everybody had one oops moment. Let's ask President Blight, can she think of an oops moment for her on the Zoom meeting?
I have 2 little kids, one who was potty training.
One who was potty training.
At the time.
All right. Okay, awesome. Now, as president of a college, you are pretty popular, you're famous, everybody knows you. Even outside the college, everybody knows you. What happens when you are on a weekend, when you are actually in the local market, shopping, in your not so presidential dress, and a student comes and says, "Hi, President Blight," what's your reaction?
I'm Meaghan in that situation. I say, please call me Meaghan. How are you doing? Getting to know students in our local community. The nice thing is everybody in Macon, Georgia knows Wesleyan. It's historic. Macon's actually celebrating its bicentennial this year, 200 years, and we've been around for 187, so we've grown up together. So quite often I'll get recognized as the president of Wesleyan from students and community members. And at that point, I'm just Meaghan, shopping in a grocery store like everybody else. And I love getting to know our community and hearing their stories about Wesleyan, whether their grandmother went there or they went there, or they've had an event or prom there. That's some of my favorite time spent.
Okay. 2 lessons for all the youngsters out there, okay, who really want to become popular and famous. And that's simply because, why am I asking is, with the day you become famous, you have to lose a lot of your private life. So what are your learnings after becoming famous and popular? How do you handle that?
Well, first of all, I would definitely never say I'm famous or popular. I think in Macon, it's a smaller city, so I'm known as an academic leader there of an academic institution. But I think carrying yourself with a high degree of responsibility is what's important anytime that you carry a public role. So I ensure that at all times I conduct myself in a way that the institution can be proud of and that I can be proud of. And I make decisions. When I think about making decisions, it's, would I ever want this to wind up on the front page of the newspaper? And if the answer is no, I don't do it.
All right. Okay. A couple of questions about your dreams and visions for India as a country, right? So all Indians, and I'm sure every nationality is very proud of their own country, and so are we. For all the kids and the youngsters out there, what do you think India will look like 20 years from now?
I think it'll be a superpower. I think that your economy is growing faster than any other. You have you've just surpassed China in population. I think the rupee is worth more and more every single year against the Canadian dollar and the US dollar. So I think that it's going to be a country to watch, and if you are neglecting India and its people and its power, you're doing it at your own peril.
Okay. For all the international students, specifically Indian students coming to your campus, I am very sure you have a lot of things to tell them, how to make the best out of everything that Wesleyan offers, whether it is a CEO institute, whether these are the extracurriculars, clubs and societies and so on. But if you have to tell them to enjoy Wesleyan, if you have to tell them to have fun, what are the couple of things that you will tell them that you should definitely do when they come to Wesleyan?
Get off campus. I think sometimes when we talk about women's colleges, they think it's like a nunnery, that we're going to lock them up and no boys allowed and no fun. But that's quite the opposite. We partner with many different institutions in Macon, other universities, other community organizations. We do a lot downtown. So get off campus. I mean, our campus is beautiful. Of course, we want you there, but there's so many things to get involved with. We have a very active downtown life. And so sporting events, the community is one that is diverse and active, so get involved.
I've heard a lot about the music scene at Meaghan. So for everybody who's listening, Meaghan is known for its musicians. Let's understand from President Blight how many such events or performances she has actually seen since she has become a president.
Oh gosh, well Macon itself has incredible concerts because we have this long history of music from the Allman Brothers and Otis Redding and others. And so on our campus, I've seen, 20 unbelievable music shows, but then also all the other institutions in Macon have concerts, and then of course the downtown life has all sorts of live music and bands. So if you like music, if you like art, if you're an arts person, Macon's a great place for you.
Wonderful. What are the favorite places for you at the campus where students do like to go? And if anybody is actually traveling to US and wants to visit Wesleyan, is it an open campus? Can anybody go and walk in? How is it?
Yeah, it's an open campus. So it's 200 acres and 100 acres is a wooded area with great walking paths, and there's a river, a creek within it, as well as a log cabin and a pavilion. So many of our students, you'll see them walking the green space. We of course have a lake on campus. We have a beautiful equestrian center where there's many horses that are roaming around, which is lovely. And then of course our indoor spaces. We have great gyms and athletic facilities. Huge amounts of green space. You can spend all day walking around campus and see new things. We have a dedicated fine arts building where you could do painting and photography and graphic design and pottery and jewelry making. And you don't have to major in arts. You could just take that as a fun course while you're doing biology, for instance.
All right. Very interesting question, this one, and I really want a very candid answer. Is there anything called being a perfect teenager?
Oh, gosh, no. I mean, make mistakes. Make mistakes that aren't dangerous, but make mistakes. I think that's how you learn. And at the end of the day, it's all going to work out. I mean, it's all going to work out. I did not have a linear path to being the president. When I took political science at my undergraduate institution, it was simply because I had to. It was the only thing that I took 6 credits in, and I didn't realize that when I had to pick my major, you could only major if you had 6 credits, and that was I just happened into it, and so that's how I picked my major. When I got my first job at a rehab center for chemically addicted youth, age 12 to 21 in Calgary, Alberta, it was because they took a shot on me and hired me with no experience and flew me out there. I mean, so many of my life choices have been either luck or happenstance or right place, right time, and just saying yes. Just saying yes to opportunities, being open to them, and just trying it out. So don't be linear. Don't feel like you have to have it figured out. Make mistakes safely, but it will all work out.
Have you ever played a prank on anybody in school, in college, or even as a president? What was it? Would you like to share?
No.
Okay. All right. I think now we will get a lot of no's, so we will not tread that path. But thank you so much, President Blight, for coming to HSM's office. Thank you so much for taking our time and explaining us the beautiful history and legacy of Wesleyan College. And I really look forward for you to come to India every now and then and inspire a lot of young women out there. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.